Hello everybody, welcome to the Steelfist podcast. Today I'm joined by our Steelfist 100 main event, Hayden Brown, pro fighter, 2-1 now, right?
Yep, 2-1 is a pro now.
Sweet. Starting off our night, we had Aaron Top coming in against Mike Padilla. This was a fun kickboxing match between One Hit MMA and the dojo. We actually had a couple of those that night. Do you know anything about either of these gyms or either of these guys?
I've actually trained at both gyms in the past. I trained a little bit with Padilla. The first 2 years I was training, I was at One Hit, and he had just started towards the end of my time at One Hit. And since I've been back training about 6 months ago, I went into the dojo a little bit before I was at Team Link and trained with those guys. And I believe that the guy from the dojo wasn't training yet at the time. He's pretty brand new, but I trained with Padilla. I know he's pretty tough.
Awesome. Yeah, so Mike Padilla ended up getting the decision, but it was a pretty fun back and forth fight between them. Mike Padilla just with his aggression constantly pressing forward, which really was the biggest thing, able to get him the win there. But Aaron Top, for being, pretty new at it, and he was doing really well. And I took the average age for this card, and it was like 32 years old, which is kind of on the old end of fighter age. So a lot of pretty old guys popping in on this card.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. All right, so congratulations, Mike, on getting your win. Moving on, we had Logan Shell versus Jorge Frady, Halos Frady. Do you know anything about either one of these guys?
No, I don't. I believe those were both debut guys as well, right?
So Jorge Frady, Talos Frady, it was his debut in kickboxing. He's had a couple MMA fights, but it was Logan Shell's debut for kickboxing or Muay Thai. Logan Shell, I was actually able to train with him over at Empower. Empower is a super technical, fundamental Muay Thai gym. They're just super power into everything. And I had a great time being able to spar with Logan, probably some of my favorite sparring rounds that I've gotten. He's able to brawl if he needs to brawl, but he's able to also stay clean and technical, and was able to get a leg kick finish. So congratulations to Logan. And as for Talos, I always am talking about independent fighters. It's just hard to do. The sport's come so far that it's hard to be independent and go up against guys who are training consistent at legitimate gyms. So moving on, we had Sean Wood and Richard Mebius. This was another one of the dojo versus One Hit. Richard Mebius was 47 years old, I believe, so the oldest fighter on the card. And it was a pretty quick fight. Both of them showed out pretty well. Were you able to catch that one and the knockout?
Yeah, I was watching that one in the back. I'm actually really good friends with Rich. I was bummed to see him lose, but it was nice to see him get in there because he's been training for a while, and it was just kind of one of those things where people might have counted him out on never fighting, just thought he trained just to be in shape and whatnot. But it was cool to see him get in there and do it. I believe he's planning on doing another one. I thought he looked great up in the fight up to the point where he got caught and got rocked, and then it just seemed like he didn't quite recover from it, but his technique and everything looked good up to that point, so I really look forward to seeing him do another fight.
Yeah, he was doing solid. And it's like a fighter who, we've both experienced losses. It's hard for anybody to say anything to you that makes you feel better, but some people are like, oh, at least you went in there and did it. And as when you hear that initially, it's kind of don't talk to me, don't say anything. But it really is such a commendable thing and such an amazing feat to be able to do it, especially at 47 years old.
Oh yeah.
And to perform as well as he did up until that point.
Yeah, there's so many wannabe tough guys out there that run their mouths and say this or that, but when it comes down to it, a lot of those guys won't step into the cage or into a ring. So props to any guys that's willing to do it, especially to get into the cage for the first time in their 40s. That's impressive and speaks a lot about his courage and his overall mindset to be able to do that. Because the biggest thing about it really is the mental warfare.
Yeah, and Sean Wood, I think, was 42 years old. I could be wrong about the age, but he was pretty old as well. And able to go in there and perform as well as he does, and be able to show the power in his hands, he's not going to have any more barbecue family issues. So we had Mitch Thompson and Marcus Hackford. This one was my fight of the night. Being able to pace themselves to be able to have a consistent, entertaining fight that goes all 3 rounds is really like high level for being heavyweights. And so these guys stayed consistent with their strikes. Both performed at a really high level, and it was a super fun matchup to watch.
I actually was watching a little bit of the video on YouTube from their fight earlier today. Hackford ended up getting the win by decision, right?
Yeah.
Nice. I know Marcus from a while ago. One of my first fights, I want to say he fought on the same card as me, or maybe his brother did. So I've been familiar with him for a while, so it's cool to see him still doing his thing.
Yeah, he's super good. The boxing combinations was really the biggest separating factor here. That's something I always not complain about, but something I'm always talking about is the boxing combinations. Is usually what wins these like kickboxing matches and stuff like that. And Marcus Hackford's boxing was on point, and Mitch Thompson was also doing really well about answering, but the combinations were just longer out of Marcus, and his accuracy was awesome. So fantastic fight for both of these guys, getting the fight of the night. We had Brian Reed coming in against Mike Tasker. Do you know anything about these guys? Were you able to catch this one?
I watched that fight, and I actually fought Brian Reed in my second MMA fight. So I'm familiar with both of them. I believe it was a first round finish, right?
Yeah, from Mike Tasker.
Yeah, kind of a one-sided fight. I talked with Brian in the back, and it sounds like he's wanting to do kickboxing now. I'd like to see him do that, because I know he's like 0-6 now, and I believe in most of his fights he's just been taken down and beat on the ground, I believe. So it'd be cool to see him try to do a kickboxing fight if that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I hope to see him back. For both him and Mike, they both had like 4 to 5 year layoffs or something like that. So to see him at least getting back into it and working on their game is pretty sweet. All right, then we had Noah Hamilton coming in against Tyler Stokes. Noah Hamilton from the pit. I trained with him quite a bit. That was knockout of the night with like a Spartan kick to the face.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was his first fight too, right?
Yeah.
And I thought he looked great considering it was his first fight. I know at the pit, like, he's got really good training and whatnot, but he showed an overall well-rounded game, being able to not panic when he got taken down and then get up and find the finish with that front kick. I thought it was impressive. I definitely think that he's going to be a contender to come in the next couple fights, give him a couple fights and he'll be fighting for the amateur title for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and he says he wants to stay ready. He looks really good. He trains really hard. He's super athletic and strong. He suplexed me once and he kneed me in the eye. He's injured me a couple times, but it's just out of athleticism, just him being intense. He just has a lot of super intense energy. He's a super friendly guy, but he has violent tendencies and capabilities, and he's going to be, and this is the perfect outlet for him to be able to show those off. So Noah's an awesome
weight
guy.
was that fight at? Was that at 145?
That was at 155, but Noah was saying he wants to go to 45, so
yeah, he definitely would be dangerous at 145, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tyler did really well too for coming in on short notice and implementing his game plan as best as he could with his wrestling. It's hard in Evanston, Wyoming. It's hard really anywhere in Wyoming to find good, consistent, solid training partners. So, hopefully we're able to see him back and make some adjustments to his own game.
No, for sure. Yeah, there's mostly just wrestlers out there. Not really any MMA gyms, so it's cool to see those guys come and fight on our cards for sure.
Moving on, also from the pit, we had Nick Perry coming in against Alex Godoy. Nick Perry was able to get the second round submission. I could be wrong. He did get a submission. It was like an arm lock or something. Alex Godoy out of UCTC. UCTC, do you know very much about those guys? Their boxing program there is phenomenal.
I fought a guy that was training at a UCTC back in the day, Elias Landau. I know that they're training their youth. I assume it's still really good, but like back when I fought Elias, I know that they had a really good Muay Thai coach and they had really good boxing there. So I knew that fighting those guys, they were going to come in well-rounded most of the time.
Yeah, he was doing super good with his boxing, super good with his wrestling, but Nick is long and skinny and was able to get the, I think he transitioned from a triangle to an armbar to be able to get the finish. It was pretty great performance by him.
Did he end up breaking his arm in the armbar? I remember hearing something about there being like a broken arm from an armbar on Steelfist Fight Night 100.
I think I also remember hearing that, but I don't know for sure if it actually happened or not. So,
oh, gotcha.
Kind of hope not, for the sake of don't want to see people get injured. But
yeah,
if you don't tap, you don't tap. So,
yeah, I've been there before.
Moving on, we had Max Kroger coming in against James Prescott. James Prescott out of one hit and Max Kroger out of FTR.
I know a lot about one hit. I don't know anything about Prescott. He must be a newer fighter there. The Prescott got the win on that fight, I believe, right?
Yeah, he got a submission rear naked choke. But yeah, his striking looks pretty good. He hurt Max pretty early on. Max took a shot, a pretty low shot, but Prescott sprawled out on him and was just able to maintain top control up until the choke. So both of these guys seem pretty new. Max was training with Randy Burton. I don't know if you've ever met him, but
yeah. I met Randy Burton way back in the day from Rob Eastman.
Oh, awesome. Okay, yeah. So yeah, he was training with Randy quite a bit for this fight. He's come and now he's training with me over at Empower Fitness, and so we're gonna get ready for his next fight. But you know, for what he had, the training that he had, just working one-on-one with Randy, he looked really good for the time that he was in there. And James Prescott, for being allegedly pretty new to one hit, being able to get in there and land that strike that he did and then dominate in the wrestling and get the submission is pretty sweet. Chow Wang coming in against Justin Villalpando. This was a pretty fun fight too.
I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, Villalpando came out and got the takedown pretty quick, and then Chow Wang reversed him. I thought it was cool and showed how tough Villalpando was to be able to overcome the adversity of getting reversed and then coming back out in the second round and getting the finish for sure. I like both of these fighters. I think they're both great. They're both cool people and good fighters. But I definitely was surprised Villalpando ended up pulling it off, because Chow Wang was excellent in his fight before. So hats off to both of those guys, and definitely hats off to Villalpando for pulling off a win over a tough opponent like Chow Wang.
Yeah, I agree. And that's something we were talking about in the commentary, was Chow Wang's just susceptibility on the ground before. Like, he had a weakness on the ground, but able to get the reversal and dominate from the top position that whole entire first round. But, you know, a fight's a fight. Anything can happen. You can get tired. Justin is insanely tough and was able to get his own reversal and get the choke. So, yeah, I agree. That was a super entertaining matchup for both of these guys. Pure heart coming out of Justin. And I can't wait to see both of these guys back. Chow Wang's been improving a lot working with Empower over there in Sandy. So,
yeah, for sure. Both guys are fun fighters. I hope they both fight again in the near future.
But yeah, yep, me as well. All right, so then we got Mark Gonzalez coming in against Jesus Lopez. Were you able to catch this fight?
Yeah, I watched that fight. Mark Gonzalez is a former teammate of mine, so I've trained with him a bunch. I believe these guys fought maybe like 2 years ago or something, so it was a rematch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of went about how I was expecting it to go.
Jesus Lopez represents a boxing gym, and his hands looked really fast. He looked really good and on balance in the boxing, but you got to have more than boxing to come into MMA, and he was doing a lot of things right, defending himself on the cage, but as far as working out of those positions and working into his own dominant position, there was a little bit to be desired from there. But Mark Gonzalez had a dominant performance coming back to MMA after over a year. So congratulations to Mark on your win. And Jesus Lopez, just keep on working at it. I hope to see him actually be able to get into a good striking match. I feel like he'd do really well in that. But it's just hard with MMA and wrestling, especially, heavyweights. They don't want to get hit by your power. You don't want to get hit by your speed because heavyweights hit hard.
Oh, for sure. I mean, any weight class, 185 pounds and up, anybody can knock anybody out with one punch, especially heavyweights,
Michael Jamiandorj versus Kawhi Thompson. This was a super entertaining fight. Good friends with both of these guys. This was right before your fight, but were you able to catch anything from it?
Yeah, I watched most of it. I haven't gone through and watched it thoroughly, where I watched every second of every round, but like from what I was watching and like what my coaches watched in the back, I was kind of surprised on the decision. I need to go back and watch that before I publicly say it, but I definitely thought the other guy won watching what I seen in the back. But it was definitely a close, entertaining fight from two skilled young fighters. It definitely would be cool to see those two run it back, I think.
Yeah, no, that one was super solid. Kawhi also said that he wants the rematch, even though he got the win. It's pretty, respectable for him to say that he wants to be able to get it back.
Oh, for sure.
And yeah, I heard a bit of split decisions on how the decision went over. But Kawhi implemented his game plan. Mike looked really good for us not having much information about him because he's only had, less than a round of fight time up to this point.
Yeah.
So, super awesome match. Okay, and then moving on to Hayden Brown and Jesse Salmon. So, just tell us a little bit first about your layoff, your return, and how this fight went over for you.
Yeah, I had a longer layoff than I was ever anticipating on doing. I believe it was like 4 years, I think, 4 or 5 years. But I definitely wasn't planning on taking that long of a layoff. It was just one of those things that when COVID happened, I ended up taking time off, and then next thing you know, all this time's passed, and I was always planning on coming back and fighting, but it's nice to finally be back for sure. I mean, I definitely felt off, or something felt off, like in the back when I was warming up, but as soon as I walked out, I felt like I was at home again,
Yeah, so got the return. Are you planning on staying a bit more active now that you're back into the swing of things?
Yeah, I'm talking right now with Kevin and Pat about fighting in either September or October. So I'm planning on September or October. Right now I'm trying to work on getting a meal prep sponsor so that way I can get my weight back down, because believe it or not, my last fight was actually at a catch weight of 175 pounds when I fought Joe Mama, and I fought multiple fights at welterweight. So to be coming back at heavyweight, I mean, I have wins in all 4 weight classes, but I definitely would like to be down to 205 for my next fight, and then back down to 185 after that. If not, 185 for my next one if I can do it.
So how do you feel about your fight, and what was your thoughts going through during the actual fight?
The fight was definitely entertaining. I mean, I took a little bit of damage in it, but I never at any point felt in danger. I never at any point felt like I was going to lose the fight. I just remained calm and just kept doing my thing. I definitely am kind of bummed about exactly how the fight ended, but I think that if that same fight ran back 10 times, I think the ultimate result would still remain the same with me being the winner. I think it might end differently for each fight, but I definitely think that's a fight that I win 10 out of 10 times.
Sweet. Well, congratulations on your win. Thanks for hopping on here with me and talking over the Steelfist 100 card. And then we'll be back pretty soon with the announcement card for Steelfist 101, which is turning out to be a super awesome card. And thank you, Aiden, for joining us. We will see you all soon enough.